Hey YouTube, we're outside today. I'm finally back to the project that I wanted to do before the truck broke down and work on the drainage here around the goat barn. So we've got this barn. We built it out of a carport. It's an 18 by 21 carport, and as you can see, we set it up on posts. So I'm on a decent hill here, and you can probably see from that corner up there down to here is a pretty good slope. And at the time, couldn't do all the dirt work to get the pad level to build it on. And so we just put it up on posts and closed in the bottom. You can see that's just a bunch of scraps of wood there. So down at this end, we're probably almost 18 inches lower, or a foot lower than we are up there. And the issue is, I really hoped mistakenly that all the water comes from up there. You can see I've been playing around with the skid steer, but so the hill's higher up there, all the water flows down and comes to this doorway, and I really thought that given the slope of the landscape here that the water would flow on out the bottom side. I even kind of left those boards up high a little bit to let water out. Well, what I didn't take into account was the fact that having 30 or 40 goats running around in here, they just churn it up and turn it into an absolute mud bath. And we lost some baby kids because of it last year. It got cold. We kept straw in here as best we could, but it obviously didn't last very long whenever it rained. So this year we're going to try and take care of that. So what my plan is starting over here at the high side, this area right here in front of the door, it tends to get real muddy because all the goats walk right through the door right here. So I'm going to try to take and level this out, dig it down a little bit, and then we're going to put some perforated drain pipe underneath there, and then I've got 2-inch rock to fill it back in with. And then that 2-inch drain pipe is going to tee, and I'm going to run one right down the middle of the barn. Before we do that, I'm going to get in here with the skid steer as best I can, and I'm going to slope the dirt up on either side. One, to kind of fill in so we don't use as much rock, and two, any water that does get in here will hopefully come down to the middle towards the drain pipe, and then it can go through the perforation of the drain pipe and then on out. So we're going to try that. I've got my brother's skid steer borrowed over here. Hopefully we can get around in here and do a little bit of dirt work without wrecking any walls or anything, but we'll get started on that. Well, that definitely went better than I thought. Grading inside here really wasn't too bad. I took some of the dirt from the outside and put it on the sides. There's not a great slope from the outside in, but everything on the outsides is definitely high, and that will keep all the water that's going to come down the middle in the middle without going off to the sides. As you can see here, I'm working on setting up some posts. I figured we've been thinking about putting in some little pins in here, little pins that we can hold some mamas with new babies or whatever. So I figured that'd be a lot easier to do that now than when I have to dig through an extra foot of 2-inch rock. So I'm going to go ahead and get those set up now, and then as I put rock in around them, that'll help hold them up. We can go look out here in front. So this was a little more difficult. It was a little wet out here and kind of drizzling while I was working on it, but I got it in pretty good shape, really. As you can see, there's a couple inches of space there underneath the door there. I may have to do a little shovel work to get the pipe down in there where I want it, but I left a pretty sharp line here where I finished digging, so that as I fill that in with gravel, then hopefully we won't have too much mixing of the dirt and the gravel, but we'll see how that goes. Basically the plan is I'm going to run one of these pipes across here with a T in the middle, and then run that perforated pipe that way. So that's a 3-inch perforated pipe. It should be more than enough to carry away anything that gets in here. Quite honestly, most of what gets down in there will probably just drain down through the rocks and drain across the ground, because I've got a decent slope. It should drain, but that'll be there to help move it away. And then with the goats on top of the rocks, that way then they won't be mixing the mud and the water all the time, and the water can maybe flow out like it's supposed to. So it's actually the next day. Doing these posts added quite a bit of time, but not near as much as it would have if I had put all this rock in here and dug post holes through 2 feet of rock. So I just dug shallow post holes for them to go in, and then we packed some rock in around them to keep them still. I've got them braced up here all level and everything, and then these will get at least a foot of gravel by the time we're all finished up here. So that part's good to go. Now we're gonna head out, and I've got this perforated drain tube. We're gonna get that cut and fit in here and make sure it at least drains in the right direction, and then get it all covered up with rock. Before gravel anyway. So we've got the perforated pipe there. I got a pretty decent slope coming from both ways. It's hard to get this stuff not to belly down into holes and stuff like that. The other thing is, especially on this long stretch, I had to dig out several little bumps just to make sure it didn't belly too bad. Obviously this isn't like house plumbing or anything, but it doesn't make much sense to set it up without it draining very well. So we've got to come all the way down through the center of the barn here, and then got some rocks piled on it there to curve it out. So coming out of this door, we'll have a kind of a ramp slope down, and that will come out the side of it there. So now all that's left to do is back and forth on the skid steer and see if we can get some of this covered in before it gets too dark. here's the finished product. As you can see, this is a few weeks later. We got some fence and stuff put up, but as far as trying to control the drainage, obviously we got the rock all spread. I don't know if I'll be able to show it on the camera here, but there's a bit of a mound of dirt right in here that I tried to use to kind of divert the water off the side of the hillside. As for the gravel, it came out pretty good. I obviously spread everything I could with the skid steer, but one problem that I had on this with this big loose rock is anytime I tried to turn or do anything other than just drive straight back and forth on the gravel, it just rolled the gravel up and made a big mess. So we did wind up having to do a lot of hand raking. We got it filled in around about to that bottom board, kind of where we were shooting for. Up here on this end of the goat barn, it's probably 3 or 4 inches thick. As we get down here, it's probably down here by the door at the end, it's over a foot deep there. So we've had a few rain events, nothing too crazy, but it was definitely muddy outside and stayed obviously nice and dry in here. We've dumped a couple buckets of water. You can see the waterers there. We've run it over a couple times and it just disappears and drains away. It hasn't gotten soft or anything. This is a look at the back side of the barn. As you can see, I just kind of built a ramp out here, and that goes over the top of our black pipe outlet there. I haven't seen anything run out, but also we haven't got a lot of rain. I doubt I will very often, really. With all this big gravel, the water just soaks right down through it and runs out, I believe. So it might soak into the bottom, but there's so much gravel there that we would never know if the bottom got soft and muddy. But we're pretty excited about this. I think this will take care of all of our drainage problems that we were having. It's already been much nicer to work in the barn with this gravel floor here, so we're pretty excited about it. But if you like what you see, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.